There's a particular kind of peace that exists nowhere else but in front of a fireplace on a cold night. That warmth that isn't just physical, but seems to seep into your bones, into your very being. The way the light dances and flickers, creating shadows that move like living things across the walls. Tonight, we're going to spend time in that space. That sacred, quiet space where fire meets silence, where warmth battles cold. And where the only sounds are the whispers of burning wood and your own steady breathing. The room around you is simple but comfortable. It's not a grand hall or an elaborate parlor, just a room that feels lived in, loved, used for exactly this purpose, for sitting quietly while the fire does its ancient work of transforming wood into heat and light. The walls might be stone, or they might be wood paneling, darkened by age and smoke. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the fireplace itself, and right now, it's the center of your universe. The fireplace is substantial. Not one of those modern gas inserts that spring to life at the press of a button, but a real fireplace, the kind that requires preparation and patience and understanding. The kind that your grandparents might have had, or their grandparents before them. The opening is wide and tall enough that you could almost stand in it if you wanted to, though of course you don't. The interior is blackened by countless fires, the bricks stained with soot and creosote, creating abstract patterns that tell the story of every log that's ever burned here. The fire itself is perfect, not too large, that would be wasteful and uncomfortably hot, but substantial enough to fill the firebox properly. To create that deep bed of coals, that's the secret to a fire that lasts. Someone has built this fire, with care, with knowledge passed down through generations. The logs are arranged just right, creating channels for air to flow, allowing the fire to breathe the way it needs to breathe. You're sitting close enough to feel the heat on your face, but not so close that it's uncomfortable. The chair beneath you is old, upholstered in fabric that's been worn smooth by use. It might have been floral once, or maybe striped, but time has faded the pattern to something more subtle, more peaceful. The cushions have molded themselves to the shape of countless people who've sat here before you, creating a perfect cradle for your body. The fire pops. It's a sharp sound in the quiet room, a piece of sap or moisture exploding in the heat. A small shower of sparks rises up, bright orange points of light that dance upward toward the chimney, following the draft, glowing brilliant and then fading to nothing before they reach the flue. It's beautiful, that brief moment of brightness, and your eyes follow the sparks upward, even as they disappear. The logs are oak, you think, though you're not entirely sure. Good hardwood, whatever it is. The kind that burns hot and slow and leaves substantial coals behind. The bark has already burned away from most of the wood, curling into delicate black carbon structures before crumbling into ash. The exposed wood glows in shades of orange and red and yellow, and even hints of blue where the heat is most intense. There's a rhythm to watching a fire that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. Your eyes move constantly but without urgency, following the flames as they curl and twist, watching the edges of the logs where new fire springs to life as the wood reaches ignition temperature, observing the deep red glow of the coals beneath the burning wood. It's meditation without trying to meditate, mindfulness achieved simply by paying attention to something that's endlessly changing, yet fundamentally the same. The heat from the fire creates currents in the air. You can see them if you look carefully. The way the space above the flames shimmers and wavers. The way objects on the other side of the fire seem to bend and shift. The warmth rises, as warmth always does, and you can feel it on your face most strongly. Then on your hands where they rest on the arms of the chair, then more diffusely on the rest of your body. Behind you, the room is cooler. Not cold exactly, but definitely cooler than the space near the fire. It's a pleasant contrast, this gradient of temperature. Your front is warm, almost hot, while your back reminds you that it's winter outside. that beyond these walls, the world is cold and dark and inhospitable. But here, in this bubble of warmth and light, you're safe, you're comfortable, you're exactly where you need to be. The mantelpiece above the fireplace holds a few objects. A clock, maybe. Its tick too quiet to hear over the sounds of the fire. Some candlesticks. Unlit because the fire provides all the light that's needed. Perhaps a photograph or two. Faces too shadowed to make out clearly in the firelight, but their presence adding to the sense that this room has history, that it's been witness to countless quiet evenings, just like this one. The wood in the fire shifts. It's a slow, gradual movement as the burning wood weakens and can no longer support its own weight. One log settles deeper into the coals with a soft sound that's almost a sigh, and the flames briefly diminish before finding new paths through the rearranged wood and flaring up again, brighter than before. The dance continues, never the same from one moment to the next, yet always recognizably fire. You notice the smell now, really notice it, though it's been there all along. Wood smoke, yes, but not the acrid smoke that makes you cough. This is the smell of cleanly burning hardwood, slightly sweet, slightly resinous, mixed with the warm scent of heated stone and the indefinable smell of the rule itself, old fabric and ancient wood, and the accumulated scent of years of fires just like this one. The crackling of the fire is almost musical. There's no single sound, but rather a composition of many sounds occurring at different frequencies and intervals. The low rumble of the flame itself, like distant thunder or wind through trees. The sharper pops and cracks as wood splits in the heat or pockets of moisture flash to steam. The gentle whisper of ash settling in the firebox. The occasional louder crack that makes you blink even though you were expecting it. Your breathing has slowed without you realizing it. The warmth and the quiet and the late hour are doing their work. Each breath in carries that slight scent of wood smoke. Each breath out releases tension you didn't know you were holding. Your chest rises and falls in a rhythm that's beginning to sync with the pulse of the fire, with the way the flames surge and subside, as predictable and primal as waves on a shore. The light from the fire plays across the ceiling. The flames cast shadows that move and shift, creating the illusion of movement in a room that's otherwise perfectly still. Kabooj 4000 Tefneen. A flicker becomes a dance, becomes a story told in light and dark. If you let your eyes go slightly unfocused, you can almost see shapes in those shadows. Trees bending in wind, birds in flight, figures that vanish as soon as you try to look directly at them. There's a basket of additional wood nearby, within arm's reach. Split logs of various sizes, some still showing bark on one side. Others split cleanly through to reveal the grain of the wood. Rings that mark years of growth, lines that tell of seasons wet and dry. The entire history of the tree written in patterns of light and dark wood. You don't need to add wood to the fire yet. The current logs are burning well, and there are hours of heat left in them. But it's comforting to know the wood is there, that this warmth can continue as long as needed. The fire pops again, and this time, a small ember escapes the firebox, landing on the hearthstone. It glows bright orange against the dark stone, a tiny sun that will cool and darken over the next few minutes, until it's just another piece of ash to be swept away. You watch it lying there. Watch the orange fade to red, to deep red, to black. There's something mesmerizing about it, this microcosm of the fire's entire life cycle, compressed into a minute or two. Your hands are warm now, almost hot where they rest closest to the fire. You shift slightly in the chair, adjusting your position, finding that perfect balance between being close enough to feel the fire's full warmth and far enough away that you're not uncomfortable. The chair creaks slightly under your weight, a sound that fits perfectly with the sounds of the fire and the old room. The windows, somewhere behind you in the darkness of the room, are probably frosted over, or maybe rain is running down them in rivers. Cold autumn rain that makes the warmth of the fire even more precious. Or perhaps it's snowing, those fat, wet flakes that stick to everything, transforming the world into a monochrome landscape of white and gray. Whatever weather is happening outside, it can't touch you here. Here, there's only warmth and light and the ancient, comforting presence of fire. Time moves differently in front of a fire. Minutes stretch out, become elastic, lose their meaning. You might have been sitting here for 20 minutes or 2 hours. It's impossible to tell, and it doesn't matter anyway. This is time outside of time, a pocket of existence where clocks are irrelevant and schedules don't exist. There's only the eternal now, the present moment, this particular arrangement of burning wood and glowing coals and dancing flames. The fire is settling now, the flames less vigorous than when you first sat down, but in some ways even more beautiful. The logs have burned to the point where they're more coal than wood, glowing with an intense internal heat that doesn't need flames to prove its existence. The light is steadier now, less flickering and dancing, more of a constant glow that fills the firebox and radiates outward. You can see the structure of the coals, the way they've arranged themselves in a pattern that maximizes airflow, that allows oxygen to reach every glowing surface. It's a natural architecture, created by the laws of physics and thermodynamics, and it's beautiful in its efficiency. The coals glow brightest where air flows most freely, creating patterns of bright orange and deep red that shift slowly as the wood continues to burn down. The heat coming from the coals is different from the heat of the flames. It's more penetrating somehow, more fundamental. It soaks into your skin and seems to warm you from the inside out. The flames might dance and attract the eye, but the coals do the real work of heating, of taking the stored energy of sunlight that the tree accumulated over decades and releasing it in a steady, comfortable flow. A new sound joins the composition, the settling of a log, the gentle rain of ash falling through the grate into the ash pit below, the whisper of heated air rising through the chimney. Each sound is quiet on its own, but together they create a kind of music, a symphony in the key of fire and stone and burning wood. Your eyelids are heavy now. The warmth and the late hour and the hypnotic movement of the fire are all conspiring to pull you towards sleep. You don't fight it. There's no reason to fight it. This is exactly what you came here for. This deep relaxation, this peaceful drowsiness, this gentle slide from waking into sleep that happens so naturally when you're warm and safe and comfortable. The fire needs attention soon. Not immediately, but soon. Another log or two to keep it burning through the night, to ensure that the warmth continues, that the coals don't burn down completely, and require the fire to be rebuilt from scratch. But not yet. For now, the fire is perfect exactly as it is, and you're reluctant to disturb it, reluctant to break the spell of this moment. The shadows on the ceiling have grown softer as the flames have subsided. They move more slowly now, more subtly, creating patterns that are almost static, but not quite, like a photograph that's somehow just slightly alive. Your eyes trace these patterns, following the interplay of light and shadow, losing yourself in the abstract shapes and the way they transform as the fire continues its slow burn. There's a particular smell that's developed now, different from earlier. It's the smell of well-established coals, of wood that's been burning for long enough that all the volatile compounds have been driven off, and what's left is nearly pure carbon, glowing with stored energy. It's a cleaner smell, more elemental, mixed with the warmth of heated stone and brick, and the faint mustiness of the old chair you're sitting in. The room has grown darker as the flames have diminished. The bright dancing light has given way to a steadier, dimmer glow. Objects that were clearly visible earlier are now just suggestions, shapes implied rather than fully seen. The darkness beyond the fire's reach has become more complete, creating the feeling that the room has shrunk, that the entire world has contracted to just this small sphere of warmth and light. But it's not an uncomfortable darkness. It's the darkness of safety, of shelter, of being enclosed in a space that protects you from the cold and the night. It's a darkness that invites rest, that encourages your eyes to close, that suggests there's nothing you need to see or attend to, that you can simply be. Your body has molded itself completely to the chair now. Every muscle has released whatever tension it was holding. Your shoulders have dropped, your jaw has unclenched, your hands lie loose and relaxed on the chair arms. The warmth has penetrated deep into your core, creating a kind of liquid feeling in your limbs, a heaviness that's pleasant rather than uncomfortable. The fire pops once more, a small sound, almost apologetic, as if the fire itself is growing quiet and ready for sleep. The shower of sparks this time is smaller, just a few orange points that rise lazily upward and disappear into the darkness of the chimney. The fire is entering its final phase of this cycle, burning down to a bed of coals that will glow red through the night and make rebuilding the fire easy when morning comes. You think about adding that log, about standing up and selecting a piece of wood from the basket and placing it carefully on the coals. But the effort seems enormous, impossible almost. Your body is so relaxed, so heavy, so perfectly comfortable that moving seems like a violation of some natural law. Besides, the fire will be fine for a while longer. The coals will keep it alive. There's time yet before action is required. The clock on the mantel, if there is one, ticks quietly. Or maybe it doesn't tick at all. Maybe it's one of those electric clocks that measures time in silent increments, never announcing its presence except when you look directly at its face. Time, in any case, has become abstract, something that happens to other people in other places. Here there's only the eternal present, the ongoing now of fire and warmth and approaching sleep. Your thoughts are drifting now, moving from topic to topic with the same random associative logic of dreams. You think about other fires you've sat in front of, other nights when warmth and comfort provided refuge from cold and dark. You think about the tree that provided this wood. Imagine it growing in a forest somewhere, stretching towards sunlight, drawing water from deep in the earth, standing through storms and seasons and years. The thought dissolves, reforms into something else. You're thinking about the people who sat in this chair before you. All the others who've watched fires burn in this same fireplace. Generations perhaps, each bringing their own worries and joys, their own reasons for seeking the comfort of fire and solitude. You're part of a long tradition, you realize, connected to everyone who's ever sat before a fire and felt this same peace, this same deep relaxation. That thought too dissolves. Your mind is moving more slowly now, thoughts becoming simpler, more basic. The fire is warm. The chair is comfortable. The room is safe. Simple declarative sentences that require no analysis or elaboration. Your consciousness is narrowing, focusing down to just the immediate sensations. Heat on your skin, weight of your body in the chair, the play of dim red light against your closed eyelids. Wait, when did your eyes close? You're not sure. It happened without decision, without conscious choice. Your eyelids simply grew too heavy to keep open, and now they're closed. And the darkness behind them is complete and comfortable. You could open them again if you wanted to. You're quite sure of that, but there's no reason to. Everything you need to experience can be experienced with your eyes closed. The fire is in a steady state now. You can tell even without looking. The sound has become constant, a low, continuous susurration of coals settling and air rising through them. The heat is steady too, not fluctuating the way it does when flames are rising and falling. It's a mature fire now, past the excitement of its youth, settled into the long, productive work of burning steadily through the night. Your breathing has become so slow and regular that you're barely aware of it. Breath comes in, filling your lungs with warm air scented with wood smoke. Breath goes out, releasing everything unnecessary, everything that's not pure, simple being. The pause between breaths grows longer. Each cycle takes more time, your body requiring less oxygen as your metabolism slows, as you sink deeper into relaxation. The fire whispers. That's the only word for it. The sounds it makes are too soft to be speech, but too organized to be mere noise. The fire is whispering stories in a language older than words, a language of heat and light and transformation. Your unconscious mind understands, even if your conscious mind doesn't, responding to these whispers with its own deep relaxation, its own letting go. You're aware of the fire now, not as something separate from you, but as a presence sharing this space, this time. There's you and there's the fire, and in some strange way, you're alike. Both burning, both consuming fuel to create energy, both radiating warmth into the surrounding space. The fire burns wood, you burn calories. It's all combustion, all transformation, all part of the same universal process. The thought is too complex to hold on to. It slips away, and you let it go without resistance. Thoughts are coming and going now, like the sparks from the fire, rising briefly into consciousness, glowing with their own brief light, then fading into darkness, each one less substantial than the last, each one requiring less attention, less engagement. The warmth has become total. It's not just on your skin anymore, but seems to have permeated your entire being. You are warm the way the coals are warm, glowing from within, radiating heat that doesn't deplete you, but rather sustains you, keeps you alive and comfortable through the darkness of the night. The fire pops, but you barely register it. The sound comes from very far away. From the other side of sleep, almost. You're aware of it the way you might be aware of a sound in a dream. Present, but not quite real. Important, but not requiring any response. The fire is taking care of itself. The fire knows what it needs. Your job is simply to rest, to be warm, to allow the night to deepen around you while the fire keeps its patient vigil. Somewhere outside, the world continues. People are going about their lives, driving cars and watching television, and arguing and laughing, and doing all the things people do. But they're very far away. Their concerns not your concerns. Their noise not penetrating this sanctuary of warmth and quiet. Here, there's only the fire, and the stone hearth, and the old chair, and your body, slowly, gently, inevitably sliding toward sleep. The coals glow red in the darkness. You can sense them rather than see them. Your eyes being closed now for how long? It doesn't matter. The red glow is visible through your eyelids somehow. Or maybe you're just imagining it, creating the image from memory and expectation rather than actual perception. The distinction doesn't seem important. Kabuch 4000, Tefnang. Your last conscious thought before sleep takes you completely is about time. About how this moment, this warm, peaceful, perfectly comfortable moment could last forever and you would be content. How there's nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. How this is enough, more than enough. How the fire will burn and the night will pass and morning will come eventually. But none of that matters because right now, right here, everything is exactly as it should be. The fire whispers on. The coals glow their patient glow. The warmth continues its gentle work, and you sleep, deep and dreamless and complete, cradled by an old chair in front of an ancient fire, connected to everyone who's ever sought comfort in flame and warmth. Part of a tradition older than civilization, old as humanity itself. The fire has been burning for hours now, though you're only dimly aware of the passage of time. In your half-sleep, you sense rather than see the changes in the fire. The logs you've been watching have burned down to rounded shapes, their edges soft with ash, their cores still glowing that deep, mesmerizing red-orange that seems to pulse with its own living heartbeat. There's a particular stage in a fire's life that might be the most beautiful of all. Not the beginning, when flames leap high and dramatic, demanding attention with their movement and brightness. Not the end, when only white ash remains and the faintest ember glows beneath. But this middle stage, this long plateau where the fire has found its equilibrium, where it burns with a steady, dependable intensity that asks nothing of you except that you receive its warmth. The room has settled into its own equilibrium too. The stones of the fireplace have absorbed hours of heat and now radiate it back into the space, creating a warmth that's more pervasive, more complete than what the flames alone could provide. The walls themselves seem to breathe warmth. The floor, the ceiling, the very air, all of it infused with the comfort that comes from a fire that's been burning steadily for long enough to transform a cold space into a true sanctuary. You shift slightly in your chair, a movement so small it's almost imperceptible. Your muscles, deeply relaxed, respond slowly to the instruction from your brain. The change in position is minute, perhaps just the angle of your head against the chair back, or the placement of your hands on the armrests. But it's enough to find an even more comfortable configuration, a position that feels like it could be maintained indefinitely without any discomfort or need to adjust again. The fire breathes. That's what it seems like from this state between waking and sleeping. Not burning, but breathing, drawing in air through the channels between the coals, exhaling heat and light and that subtle movement of heated air that makes everything shimmer. In and out, a rhythm as natural and essential as your own breathing, which has slowed now to match it. You breathe when the fire breathes. You rest when the fire rests. You've become synchronized, connected by some invisible thread that binds all warm-blooded, energy-consuming beings. The darkness in the room has texture now. It's not an absence, but a presence, a soft blanket that wraps everything beyond the fire's immediate sphere of influence. Objects are still there. The basket of wood, the mantelpiece with its mysterious objects, the walls with their hangings or pictures or bare surfaces. But they've receded, become part of the darkness rather than distinct from it. Only the fire and the immediate space around it maintain their definition, their presence in the physical world. A coal splits. You hear it before you see it, a sharp crack that echoes slightly in the quiet room. And then when you let your heavy eyelids open just a fraction, you see the coal has divided into two pieces, each now glowing more brightly where the interior has been exposed to air. The crack runs through what was once the heart of a branch, and you can see the rings again, those markers of time, glowing like the rings of a far-off planet as seen through a telescope. The split coal catches your attention for a moment. You watch as the two halves slowly separate further, moving with the slowness of glaciers, infinitesimal adjustments as the supporting structure beneath them shifts and settles. One piece rocks gently, teeters on an edge, and then comes to rest at a new angle. The other slides fractionally to the side, In the wake of their movement, small cascades of ash fall through the grate, making sounds like sand running through an hourglass, marking time in the way that fire does, not in precise increments, but in the gradual transformation of substance into energy. Your mind drifts to childhood, though you're not sure why. Perhaps something about the fire triggers these memories. Being small and sitting before a fireplace while adults talked in the background. Their words incomprehensible, but their tones comforting. The fire was huge then, seen from a child's perspective, a cavern of flame that seemed dangerous and thrilling and absolutely mesmerizing. You could watch it for hours, seeing shapes in the flames, dragons and castles and forests, all dancing and transforming in the combusting wood. That memory fades, replaced by another. A different fire, a different time. Maybe a campfire under stars, the smoke rising toward a sky so full of stars it seemed impossible. Each one a sun, burning like this fire burns. But unimaginably far away and incomprehensibly large. The fire pit ringed with stones, friends on the other side reduced to silhouettes. The smell of burning pine, and the pop of sap, and the sense of being part of something ancient. Something that connected you to every human being who'd ever gathered around a fire for warmth and safety and community. These memories don't demand attention. They simply are, like images projected on smoke, fading in and out without urgency or insistence. Your mind in this state is open, receptive, allowing whatever wants to surface to do so, but not grasping at anything, not trying to hold on to or analyze or understand. Just experiencing, just being present with whatever arises and letting it go when it passes. The heat of the fire has created a cocoon around you. Inside this cocoon, you're perfectly warm, perfectly safe. Beyond it, you're vaguely aware that the room is cooler, that the world outside the window is cold, that winter or autumn or whatever season it is presses against the walls of this building, seeking entry. But it can't reach you. The fire and the stone and the walls keep it at bay. You're protected, sheltered, held in a bubble of warmth that feels eternal. Even though you know intellectually that fires eventually burn out. That warmth is always temporary. That all things end. Kabuj 4000 Tefnink. But not now. Not yet. Now the fire still glows. Now the warmth still radiates. Now you're still here, comfortable and drowsy and completely at peace. And that's all that matters. The coals have achieved a kind of perfection. They're past the stage of visible flames, but still far from being mere ash. They glow with an intensity that seems almost magical, as if they're not burning at all, but simply choosing to emit light and heat through some act of will. The color is mesmerizing, not a single shade, but a gradient that shifts from white hot at the center to yellow to orange to red to a deep crimson at the edges, where the combustion is less intense. You notice small details you've missed before. The way individual coals don't glow uniformly, but have brighter spots and dimmer spots, creating a topology of heat. The way the ash covering parts of the coals creates an insulating layer that makes those areas glow less brightly, creating patterns like continents and oceans on a glowing planet. The way the draft through the firebox creates movement in the finest ash particles, making them swirl and dance like snow in wind. The fire continues its whispered conversation. You've been listening to it for so long now that you've almost stopped hearing it as sound and started experiencing it as something more fundamental. A vibration, perhaps, or a presence, or simply an aspect of the room itself, as integral to this space as the walls and floor and ceiling. The fire speaks in pops and cracks and the gentle roar of rising heat, and your subconscious understands even if you can't translate its meaning into words. Time continues its strange behavior. Hours might have passed, or only minutes. The fire looks the same as it did. When? Impossible to say. The coals glow with the same intensity, or perhaps slightly less, or perhaps slightly more. There's no reference point, no way to measure the passage of time, except by changes that happen so gradually, they're invisible, unless you look away and then back again after a very long interval. Your body has become part of the chair. That's what it feels like. The boundary between where you end and the chair begins has become unclear, negotiable. You're a single entity now, person and chair and cushions and fabric, all merged into one comfortable, warm, completely relaxed being that exists only to be at peace in front of this fire. The thought that you should add wood to the fire surfaces again, floats through your consciousness like a leaf on a stream, and floats away again without generating any action. The coals are fine. The fire is fine. Everything is fine. Movement is unnecessary. Effort is unnecessary. All that's needed is this: stillness and warmth, and the slow, gentle drift toward deeper sleep. A sound from outside penetrates the bubble. So faint, you almost miss it. Maybe wind in trees, or the call of a night bird. Or simply the house settling as temperature changes affect the wood and nails and stones of its construction. The sound is there, and then it's gone, and you're not even sure you actually heard it or just imagined it. It doesn't matter either way. The sound, real or imagined, is just another element of this night, another texture in the tapestry of sensations that make up this moment. The fire's glow seems to pulse, though that might just be your perception shifting as your consciousness rises and falls on its journey toward sleep. Brighter for a moment, then dimmer, then brighter again, like a heartbeat made visible, like the breathing of some vast organism of which you're a small but integral part. Your thoughts are barely thoughts anymore. They're more like sensations, impressions, fragments of images and feelings that don't form into coherent narratives or logical progressions. The fire, warm, safe, good. Simple declarations that your drowsy mind can hold on to, even as everything else slips away. The coals continue their patient glow, asking nothing, offering everything. The heat continues to radiate outward, warming your skin, warming the chair, warming the air, warming the very molecules that make up this space. And you continue to sit, to rest, to allow yourself to be warmed and comforted and gently, inexorably drawn down into the deep, peaceful sleep that's been waiting for you all along. The fire knows secrets that humans have forgotten. It remembers when fire was the only light in the darkness, the only warmth in the cold, the only protection against the dangers that prowled beyond its circle of light. It remembers when tending fire was a sacred duty, when letting the fire go out could mean death for the whole tribe, when the person who kept the fire burning was honored above all others. You don't think these thoughts consciously. They arise from somewhere deeper, from the part of your brain that's older than language, older than civilization, the part that recognizes fire as friend and ally and necessity. That ancient part of you relaxes completely in the fire's presence, knowing at a level below thought that as long as the fire burns, you're safe. The room is a world unto itself now. Whatever exists beyond its walls might as well be on another planet. This is the only real place, the only now that matters. The fire in its firebox. You in your chair. The warmth and the quiet and the darkness, all combining to create a moment that feels eternal, that seems like it could never end and never began. that simply is, and always has been, and always will be. Your breathing is so slow now, so quiet, that if someone were watching, they might wonder if you were breathing at all. But you are. Each breath takes half a minute, a full minute, each one deeper and more satisfying than the last. Your body barely needs oxygen in this state. The metabolic fires that keep you alive have banked themselves like the fire in the firebox, burning slow and steady and efficient, using the minimum energy necessary to maintain life and warmth. The fire will burn through the night. You know this even though you're not watching, even though your eyes are closed and your mind is wandering the borderlands of sleep. The coals will glow until morning. And if someone comes in the early hours before dawn and adds a log or two, the fire will spring back to life, flames dancing again, light filling the room. But if no one comes, if the fire is left to itself, it will simply continue the steady burn, these coals glowing red through the darkest hours, providing warmth without drama, heat without spectacle. You find this deeply comforting, the fire's patience, its ability to burn steadily for hours without intervention, without need for constant attention or adjustment. It's a kind of reliability that's rare in the modern world, where everything demands constant input, constant engagement. The fire simply is. It burns because that's what fire does when given fuel and air and ignition. It asks nothing more. Kabooj 4000 Tefnek. The warmth has penetrated to your core now. If you could see inside yourself, you'd see that you're glowing too, not unlike the coals. Your metabolism creating heat, your blood carrying that heat to every extremity, your body maintaining its perfect temperature through the elegant biochemistry of being alive. You and the fire, different but similar, both burning, both warm, both alive in your own ways. A log shifts in the fire, such a small movement you might miss it if you were fully awake. But in this drowsy state, every small change registers. The log rotates fractionally, settling into a new configuration, and the coals beneath it reorganize themselves to accept this new weight and distribution. The fire's architecture adjusts, compensates, continues without interruption. The glow remains constant. The heat remains constant. Only the arrangement has changed. And even that so minutely that moments later you couldn't say exactly what moved or how. This is how fire teaches patience. Through its slow burn, its gradual transformation, its refusal to be hurried. Wood becomes coal, becomes ash at its own pace, following laws of chemistry and physics that care nothing for human schedules or desires. The fire will take the time it takes, will burn as long as it burns, will provide warmth until it doesn't. There's no negotiating with fire, no convincing it to hurry or slow. It simply is what it is, and there's something profoundly peaceful about accepting this, about surrendering to the fire's timeline instead of insisting on your own. Your consciousness is an ember now, glowing faintly in the darkness of approaching sleep. Thoughts still flicker occasionally across it, but they're dim and brief, barely illuminating anything before fading away. The boundary between sleeping and waking has become so thin, so permeable, that you're existing in both states simultaneously. Awake enough to be aware of the fire and the warmth, and your own breathing. Asleep enough that dreams are beginning to seep in around the edges, coloring your perception with their particular logic. In this in-between state, the fire seems to grow larger, or perhaps you're shrinking, or perhaps space itself is becoming flexible and negotiable. The fireplace could be a cave mouth, the fire a massive blaze around which distant figures dance and chant. Or it could be a star, and you're falling toward it through the vacuum of space, drawn by gravity and light toward inevitable immolation. Or it could be exactly what it is, a fire in a fireplace in a room in a house on a cold night. And that could be the most miraculous thing of all. The fire pops, and in your half-dreamed state, the sound becomes something else. Applause, maybe, acknowledging your presence, or a word spoken in a language you almost understand, or simply a sound, pure and without meaning, that exists for its own sake and asks nothing of you except that you hear it and let it pass. Time has stopped, or perhaps it's moving so slowly that each second takes an hour, each hour takes a day. The fire has been burning forever. You've been sitting here forever. This moment is eternal and always has been. There's a peace in this that goes beyond contentment, beyond happiness. It's a peace that comes from accepting that right now, in this moment, nothing else exists and nothing else needs to exist. The fire, the chair, the warmth, and you. Complete, sufficient, perfect. The glow of the coals seems to pulse in time with your heartbeat now. Or maybe your heartbeat has slowed to match the rhythm of the fire. Cause and effect have become confused, tangled, irrelevant. All that matters is the synchronization, the way you and the fire breathe together, glow together, exist together in this shared moment that stretches out in all directions like the surface of a perfectly still pond. Your body is so heavy, it feels like you can sink through the chair, through the floor, down into the earth itself. Heavy, but not weighted down. Dense, but not oppressed. Just thoroughly, completely relaxed. Every muscle loose, every joint soft. Every part of you that can let go has let go. The fire will outlast you tonight, long after you've surrendered completely to sleep. The coals will continue their patient glow through the deepest hours of night. When the world is at its quietest and darkest, the fire will keep watch. It will maintain the warmth, hold back the cold, provide the light, however dim, that keeps absolute darkness at bay. You can sleep knowing this, can let yourself drift away completely, secure in the knowledge that the fire will still be there, still burning, still doing its ancient work of transformation and warmth. And so you do. You let go of the last threads of wakefulness. Release your grip on consciousness and allow yourself to fall, not into darkness, but into warmth, into a sleep as deep and peaceful and renewing as any sleep can be. The fire whispers its approval, speaks its ancient benediction over your sleeping form. The coals glow their patient glow. The night deepens around the small island of warmth and light, and everything is exactly as it should be. The last thing you're aware of before sleep takes you completely is the fire. Just the fire, glowing red in the darkness, warm and steady and reliable, old as humanity and new as this very moment, simple and complex, ordinary and miraculous. The fire, giving its light and warmth without being asked, without expecting anything in return. Just burning, just being, just offering itself to the cold night. And then, nothing. Just sleep. Deep, dreamless, perfect sleep. While the fire continues its slow burn, while the coals glow red through the dark hours. While the night unfolds outside the windows and the world turns on its axis and time moves forward in its inexorable way, you sleep and the fire burns and all is well. Kabud's 4000 Tefnank.